Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time we stop lying to ourselves about what the real issue is with All Elite Wrestling. AEW has a problem with their weekly shows. Now, I've been one of many to come up here, content creators and such, and tell you that All Elite Wrestling, AEW, are the kings at pay-per-views. When you sit down and you spend that $50, you always get your money's worth when it comes to their pay-per-views. Every match, every story, every performance is top quality, especially here in 2024. I think 2024 is AEW's best year when it comes to their pay-per-views. The hot streak that they're on this year is incredible. From Revolution being a classic show, one of the greatest pay-per-views I've seen. To this day, as of right now, it's the best pay-per-view of 2024, the retirement of Sting. Better than WrestleMania, in my opinion. And WrestleMania was awesome. So was Dynasty. So was Double or Nothing. So was Forbidden Door. And especially All In. All In is up there as one of their best shows, period. Period. In their top 10. And guess what? So was All Out. Despite the fact that All Out was merely 2 weeks after All In, not favorable, and I hope they get rid of that BS, these pay-per-views being this close together, if they get this deal done with Warner Brothers Discovery and they get on Max, we're good. But until then, the idea of paying $50 back to back is not favorable, and I hope they get rid of that. As in, they either spread out their pay-per-views more, or they drop all out. Either way, it's just not a good thing to have. Whether it's a week away or 2 weeks away, it's just bad overall. But for some reason, somehow, they still managed to pull out a great, excellent pay-per-view. They don't miss. Hopefully, knock on wood, that stays where it is. It stays consistent. It stays that way. But they don't miss when it comes to pay-per-views. Unfortunately, as we all know, less people watch their pay-per-views than they do the weekly shows. Their weekly shows are their advertisement for the pay-per-views. So you could have the greatest pay-per-views in the world, but if you can't make people care enough to watch them, what's the point? And that's the issue with AEW. It's an issue we've all seen. We all know about. Some people just refuse to come out and just say it. As great as AEW's pay-per-views are, their weekly shows do not hit the mark. I almost said their weekly shows are garbage. I'm not going to go that far, but I'm close to saying it. For the most part, when you look through, especially this year in 2024, it's undeniable. The quality between their pay-per-views and their weekly shows are astronomical. It's embarrassing how AEW cannot follow up on these shows. You give us some of the best shows on pay-per-view, and then the weekly shows, and I'm not just talking about Dynamite, I'm talking about Rampage and Collision. I've gotten to the point that I can't even watch. I can't watch Rampage and Collision. I just turn it off because it's so nonsensical. It makes no sense, and everything done on these shows are so haphazard and random and wacky. It's ridiculous. I haven't even bothered to watch Ring of Honor. I'm not going to even try. And now I'm seeing rumors that they want to bring in a fourth show? 4 shows? Tony, you can't run 3 shows. I'm hoping that one of those get dropped. If rumors are true, and AEW is making a deal, they work out a relationship with Fox to do another show called AEW Shockwave. They did trademark that name. I hope that means Rampage and or Collision's getting dropped. Quite frankly, 3 shows is too much as it is. 4 shows is impossible. 2 solid 2-hour shows, fine. Maybe one's an hour, the other is 2 hours. Whatever you want to do, please don't do 4 shows. Because you can't handle the 3 shows you have now. Tony Khan is stretched thin. Really thin. When it comes to booking these shows. How do you sit through watching Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision week after week after week after week? How do you do that? I'm pretty sure the wrestling is good, but in terms of logical, sensical storytelling, like, you literally have to turn off your brain. Your brain has to be just numb to watch. What is that? 1 hour of Rampage, 2 hours of Collision, 2 hours of Dynamite, 5 hours of AEW television each week. And that is excluding Ring of Honor. I couldn't. Why is it that these weekly shows don't work, though? I can't, for the life of me, understand how you can give me top quality, beyond amazing pay-per-views and then turn around to give me lackluster, abysmal weekly shows. Can I give you some examples of what I'm talking about? Because this past week's Dynamite was a great example of why these weekly shows don't match up to the pay-per-views. And the crazy thing is, this past week's Dynamite isn't one of their worst shows. It was just weird and odd. So, just to kind of keep a through line here, we are going to talk about some storylines, some characters, some things happening currently. And I want to start off with Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher. So, as you've been watching, Kyle Fletcher has kind of been Tony Khan's little pet project secretly. You can tell he's getting a lot of TV time and a lot of focus. I'm still not quite sure why. Is he a good wrestler? Yes, but in terms of a character, in terms of promos, he's average. He's nothing special. There are other people, not even on AEW television, stuck on Ring of Honor, Athena, who are better than Kyle Fletcher and are not getting TV time, but he's getting a lot of this basically because Tony likes him. And that's fine. Every booker has their favorites, and like Triple H has his favorites, they are going to try really, really, really hard to get these guys over, and will give them the world every opportunity to get it right before they finally go, okay, it's not great. Wardlow gets over like Rover. Danhausen gets over like Hook. Hook is stuck in purgatory with this FTW championship bullshit, but Kyle Fletcher's getting all this TV time. Bit of resentment, just a little bit. Nothing against Kyle Fletcher. He seems like a cool guy. I just hate the fact that he gets all this TV time where there are better people who would take that position and kill it. But anyways, Kyle Fletcher has kind of been the secret friend of Will Ospreay. They're teasing a babyface turn, him leaving Don Callis and stuff, and it's inconsistent. They go back to this story once in a while, but it's been happening throughout the year. And so they do this gauntlet match, a casino gauntlet match for tag teams, where Will Ospreay, who owed Don Callis a favor, even though he left him because Don Callis tried to make him cheat, and Will said, nah, not doing that, I'm going to fight fairly. So he left the Don Callis family, but he owed him a favor. That favor was team with Kyle Fletcher to bring the tag team titles to the Don Callis family. So technically he didn't leave. Now he's joining back with the Don Callis family, because let's just say they do beat the Young Bucks. They're not, but let's say they do. He's back with Don Callis, even though he left him. So when you really think about this story, it makes no sense. But regardless, these guys have never teamed before at all inside AEW. Don't get me started with the United Empire. Yes, they were a thing in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm talking about here in AEW. This is their first time teaming together. They haven't built a reputation as a tag team yet. Now, Davis and Fletcher have. Mark Davis and Fletcher. That's Aussie Open. Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher are friends, but this is their first time teaming, so they're not really an established tag team. You have them win this casino gauntlet match when, for the longest time, the Acclaimed have been feuding with the Young Bucks. The Acclaimed fought them in Blood and Guts. They fought them in All In. They never got that one-on-one, 2-on-2 tag team championship match. And they beat them in that Eliminator match months ago. But they never got that 2-on-2 tag team championship match. So I was thinking, logically speaking, they would win this match. They didn't. So you're like, what's the point of doing all of this stuff before if you get nothing out of it? What was the point of getting invested in the Acclaim then and doing this storyline with the Young Bucks? To then turn around and just give it to Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher. And people will say, well, the match is going to be great. That's not the point. Yes, we know these matches are going to be good. What are you doing to make people care? This is a strange, very odd way to set up Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher as a tag team. It's just a strange choice all around. Especially when you consider all those tag teams that were in this gauntlet match that were already established, plus some that weren't even in there, Private Party, The Dark Order. Why weren't they in there? I don't fucking know. I'm not booking the shows. It's just weird booking. Also, this is a weird thing to do with Will Ospreay following an excellent feud with MJF. You would think, all right, well, next is Ricochet. Don't know when it's happening. Thankfully, it's not happening at Grand Slam. Yeah, say that for pay-per-view. That's a pay-per-view match. Make me pay $50 for that. But it is one of those things, too, where it's like, we're doing so many things that it's hard to follow. It's like Will Ospreay is doing, what is this, 2-3 storylines right now? The one with Ricochet, the one with Kyle Fletcher and Don Callis, whether he's going to join them or not. Yeah, 2 storylines. Maybe there's another one that I'm not keeping up with because I don't watch Rampage and Collision. That's just weird. But all right, Kyle Fletcher and Ospreay are taking on the Young Bucks. I don't know how this helps your tag team division. Yes, by all means, they are friends, but a thrown together tag team just gets a tag team title shot. This does nothing for your tag team division. Doesn't make me care about the tag teams at all. I'm not going to say it buries them, but it doesn't make them feel important. And then we got this storyline with Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho. This learning tree, gimmick, run, story is awful. It is a flop. Easily the worst thing that Chris Jericho has done in his entire career. It's not getting over. It doesn't work. And now he's revisiting a feud with Orange Cassidy. Who asked for that? Who wants to see that? Their first feud was meh, average at best, and it was over a jacket getting ruined because Orange Cassidy poured orange juice over it. But now you go back to it, and it's the same premise. You took my jacket and you ruined it. So now I want to ruin your life. You can't come up with something better than that? And so, on Dynamite, you had Orange Cassidy. This is so stupid. Get help from, of course, the conglomeration. Mark Briscoe and Kyle O'Reilly. A different Kyle from Kyle Fletcher. Too many Kyles. They bring in a load of coins that I'm assuming was supposed to be pennies with the amount that equal to the amount of $7,000. That's the amount his jacket cost. And they were supposed to pour all these pennies into the car, his Corvette, and it was supposed to destroy the Corvette. Like, in my head, I'm thinking, I see what they were going for, but the execution of it was so poorly done. When you see this tractor pour these coins into the car, and it doesn't even overfill it, it wasn't even enough to, it was nowhere near no $7,000, let alone whatever amount he was supposed to pay. It literally fell into the bottom of the car, and that was it. And you're like, what was that supposed to do? Like, what was I supposed to get out of this? Was this supposed to be funny? Horrible segment. Absolutely horrible. And this is a feud they're building. They're taking time out of their television schedule, out of their 2-hour, 5-hour weekly shows to give this attention. For what? Who wants to see Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy? Again, like, we got Hook stuck in purgatory with this FTW championship when he could be fighting Jack Perry for the TNT title. What's Jack Perry doing? Nothing. Why isn't Hook fighting him for it? I think we missed the point of the FTW championship when Taz had it in ECW. When Taz was holding it, he was saying he was the uncrowned world champion. And he had the wins to prove it. Paul Heyman was booking him so strong, he said he was the uncrowned world champion, and fans believed it. That's what the FTW championship was made for. Hook's just holding a belt. What's the whole point of this? And in no way does he feel like a world champion right now. You had him feeling like one when he fought Samoa Joe, but because of horrible weekly shows and inconsistent booking, you killed that. You killed that hype. You killed Hook's momentum, just like you killed Wardlow's momentum. Speaking of momentum, Hangman Page. Hangman Adam Page has all the momentum in the world, following one of the most violent matches, not even the most violent match of their feud, That's still their Texas Death Match from last year between him and Swerve Strickland. But one of the most violent matches that AEW has ever had ended with a syringe being stuck in a man's mouth and him hitting him with one of the loudest chair shots you will ever see. I said it on my live stream. Hangman Page is essentially Jack the Ripper. He's a killer. So what do you do with that? You could have had him fight a multitude of people. You're not going to have him fight Bryan Danielson this early. I get that. But he could fight former friends. If anything else, you had the Dark Order backstage. That is a great in-between interim feud before you get clearly to Hangman Page and Bryan Danielson. And from the looks of it, I was thinking Hangman Page would be ending Danielson's championship run and retiring him. That might be changing soon. We'll talk about that in a second. But, all right, before he gets back to the world title, you give him some interim feud to keep fans interested, to keep him fresh, to keep him hot. Why not go to the Dark Order? They have a history. That would be a great way to reestablish them. No, instead, you go to Jeff Jarrett. I get it, y'all. You like Jeff Jarrett. He cut a great promo during the Owen Hart tournament. Not taking that away from him. I know why fans like him. I understand why he's popular with the AEW audience. But I'm sorry. When it comes to drawing in new viewers, when it comes to creating buzz for AEW, the last person I'm going to think about is Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett? That's the best you got for Hangman Page? That's who he's fighting now. You can't find anyone else for him to fight. It's ridiculous. The follow-ups are awful. The only thing that has my interest right now is what they're doing with Jon Moxley, Claudio, Pac, Marina Shafir, and whatever this mysterious higher power is. Because it's clearly setting up Shane McMahon coming in. I will be surprised if this doesn't lead to Shane McMahon coming in. It would be an absolute bust as well. They're coming in saying, this is not your company anymore, we're here to take over. And it's so much more well done than what they were doing with Okada and the Young Bucks and everyone else involved with the New Elite. That was so stupid. It didn't work. You can say you liked Jack Perry attacking Tony Khan. I didn't, but I can understand what they were going for. And if it was good for building an audience and creating new buzz for AEW, but I didn't like it, I would be okay with that. Not only did I not like it, it didn't do anything for anybody. It was a bust. So here they go again, doing another takeover storyline. This one has a lot more substance. This one feels like it's going to go somewhere. And it has the right people. We have people who are disgruntled. We have wrestlers who are disgruntled, who feel like they're not being used properly, who aren't being respected by AEW. Jon Moxley kind of tiptoes around that. We'll see what he can do with it. But Pac, 100%. Claudio, 100%. Marina Shafir, oh my goodness. I get them. So I'm interested to see what they do here. It just doesn't make any sense to me that Darby Allin, who earned a shot for the world title, was going to fight Bryan Danielson at Grand Slam, was then told, hey Darby, Bryan's not going to be at Grand Slam because he was attacked by Jon Moxley. So you can't fight for the world title. But you can fight Jon Moxley. And then you'll be putting that opportunity for the world title on the line against Jon Moxley. Weird decision, but if you're trying to sell Bryan Danielson getting attacked, I get it. Not even 20 minutes after that, here comes Nigel McGuinness, who then challenges Bryan Danielson to a match at Grand Slam and gets it. What? What? Well, what was the point? Why did you make Darby Allin give up his world title match because Bryan's hurt, to then say, well, Bryan's not really hurt, he'll be fighting Nigel McGuinness? Yes, Nigel versus Bryan is a great match, and before Bryan retires, he should do that match. This is not how you do it. This made literally no sense. That is just horrible, backwards ass booking. Anybody that saw that said the exact same thing I said. That makes no sense. You just took a title opportunity away from Darby for no reason. None whatsoever. And yes, I do think Jon Moxley will beat Darby Allin. And will probably beat Bryan for that world title at, Wrestle Dream? Great. Now we can do Darby versus Jon Moxley down the line. But this made no sense. This is what I'm talking about. These weekly shows have no long-term logical storytelling to it whatsoever. It's just random shit happening. And that's been the case throughout the entire year. And it's sad because there have been some good shows here in 2024. There was a string of good shows after Forbidden Door. I was thinking they figured it out. They didn't, because clearly when August hit, Tony forgot how to book. I mean, the same thing happened after Revolution. Revolution, there was a great string of shows where I thought, man, everything is making sense. Storylines are connecting. We're building very nicely to AEW Dynasty. Man, it's going to be a great summer. And then they had to play that dumb CM Punk footage. And it's like they never recovered. AEW builds goodwill with their audience through these pay-per-views and always kills it with their weekly shows, not making a lick of sense. All it is just Tony going into, what's that game called? AEW Fight Forever? Pushing random, and we get random matches. Tony changes his mind. I won't say as much as Vince McMahon, but it's getting there. Clearly, he wanted Darby Allin to fight for that world title and said, never mind, I'm going to do Nigel and Bryan. Dude, you got to finish your stories. You got to stay consistent. This is how you kill viewers. You wonder why people stop caring about your weekly shows. I'm sorry, AEW needs to do better with their weekly shows in terms of stories, logical storytelling, and things making sense if you want people to care about you and watch. And as someone that is invested in AEW's future, that wants them to do better, this is a legit criticism that everybody should be talking about. These weekly shows are not good. They're not good. Are they the worst shows I've ever seen? Are they as bad as Raw from 2019 or Raw in 2009? Not yet, but they're getting there. I would hate for them to get there before they actually make some changes. This is not good, y'all. More people need to be speaking out about how horrible these shows are. Are there some good things? Yes. I thought Ricochet and Sammy Guevara was awesome. I thought Leo Rush and Jack Perry was great. To all the people that say I hate Jack Perry, I can give him credit where credit is due. He's a good wrestler. Great in-ring performer. In terms of his character, But inside the ring, yeah. I've always said Jungle Boy was great inside the ring. I've been consistent that way. The stuff with the women between Toni Storm and Mariah May, some of the best things that I've seen throughout the entire year. She's kind of in limbo right now, but you can see there's still a long-term story here. She's bringing in Mina Shirakawa. They're going to do something, probably between them. Makes sense. I'm fine with that. The stuff with Mercedes Moné hasn't been all that great. I'll admit that. But in terms of her in-ring performance, they've been pretty good. Her matches have been good. Good to great to awesome. Her match with Willow was awesome. But her booking, I'll admit, has not been great. It hasn't been the greatest. She shouldn't be talking as much as she has. Like I said before, people love Mercedes for her in-ring ability, not to hear her talk. And she's done more talking than she has been wrestling. And that's not a good way to book her. That's never been a good way to book her. But again, that's not her fault. That's on Tony Khan. Mercedes is only as good as her booking. Okada is only as good as his booking. Now, from what he's been given, he's been amazing. But I'm still sitting here waiting on that one Okada match that I have yet to see since he got here. Hopefully with Konosuke Takeshita, we'll get that. And yes, we will get to Omega in the future and we'll get it there as well. But I'm still waiting on that one Okada match that I have yet to get. Again, that's the booking. There's nothing buzzworthy about this show outside of what they're doing with Jon Moxley, Claudio, Pac, Marina, and hopefully Shane McMahon. But then when that gets here, you still have to wonder, how much of a buzz is that going to create for AEW long term? Initially, yeah, I can see the ratings increasing. I can see people being interested. But long term, what is that going to do here? Are we doing an invasion angle, another invasion angle storyline that permeates throughout everything? Collision, Rampage, and Dynamite? I hope it's good if that's the case, but we're not going to talk about that until it comes. It could be good. It could not be good. That's not the case right now. What I'm seeing on TV is just not hitting. It's just not all that great. There is nothing with the women, with the tag teams, with the main event scene that is making this show worth watching. These weekly shows continue to be the Achilles heel of AEW as a whole. Tony has shown us that he cannot book consistent week-to-week television. He can't. He'll kill it at pay-per-views, but in terms of following up on those pay-per-views and making people care to come to these weekly shows, he has failed at it over and over again. This week's Dynamite apparently had some of the lowest attendance numbers all year, and their attendance numbers have been embarrassingly low. They have got to do a better job of making people care about these weekly shows. And until they do, things are going to keep getting worse for them. Doesn't matter what deal they make with Warner Bros. Discovery. And I think they are going to get a rights increase. And hopefully move these pay-per-views to Max. Because $50, no offense, you might be worth it. But I would like if I can just watch these on a streaming service. Thank you. I would appreciate that. They're going to get some kind of an increase. But they need to justify it. They need to show that Warner Bros. Discovery, WBD, is investing their money in the right place. That they will get a return on the money that they invest. How do you do that? Strong, engaging, weekly shows that build to excellent pay-per-views. You do that, you find a way to make these shows worth a damn, your attendance numbers will increase, your merchandise numbers will increase, and then you would be competing with WWE. I don't see why AEW can't be doing what WWE is doing right now if they were actually creating great TV shows, but they're not. Just because one company's hot doesn't mean the other one can't be. Both of them can be hot. AEW's not because their weekly shows aren't that great. Sorry, they're not. They're not. And we need to admit that. They got to get better at producing stronger weekly shows. You fix that problem, I think everything else falls into place. Let me know if you disagree. I'm pretty sure most of you do, and that's fine. But we're here to have a discussion. I look forward to seeing what you have to say. Thank you all so much for watching this video. As you follow out, do all the YouTube things, like the video, subscribe, and click that bell to catch all my content when it comes out. Follow me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and donate using PayPal, Patreon, Cashapp, and VENMO. I love you all, and I'll catch you guys next time, right here in Alyx's world, a place that is, was, and forever will be a safe space for wrestling fans like you. Peace.